You're listening to REIA Radio, the nationally trusted name in real estate investing. We dig deep to discover investors' why in real estate. If you want to skip all the BS and get in investors' heads, you're in the right spot. Be one of the thousands to check out REIARadio.com.
There were plenty of career mistakes I've had in my career where I've lost plenty of money with either bad contractors, where projects had, cost overruns. Time is a very important component of real estate. So thankfully I was willing to tough it out and just manage those relationships to make sure those partners I had was willing to stick with me, even though I had all my rough spots, that we rode through the storm in multiple occasions and just let time heal all wounds. And I think that's one big thing that why I'm still able to survive here, even though I've had projects where I lost over $1 million at one point.
Welcome to REIA Radio, episode 284 with David Chan.
Okay, right before we did the intro here, you just asked David about Bigger Pockets, and you said you want to get on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, I said, will this be your stepping stone to get on it?
So our crack research team here at REIA Radio uncovered this gem from approximately 2017 on Bigger Pockets.
Okay.
Little
do you know what he's going to say?
I don't know.
Little did I know, David, that you and I actually have a little history online.
Okay.
Yes. We have.
This could go so many different ways.
Yeah, maybe we can clean that up in editing. We'll I'm just workshopping some stuff here, but anyway. So our online relationship was born in 2017. And I'm going to take a liberty here as a podcast host, if that's all right. I'm going to read an excerpt.
Okay.
It is your show too.
And here is a post that I created titled "Mistaking a Hot Market for Having Skills." Okay. So this was 8, maybe 9 years ago. And so I say, now just bear with me. This is a little wordy, but so am I. Today's been a good day. I just finished up the rehab on a cosmetic flip in Omaha, and my agent put it on the MLS yesterday afternoon. When I bought the house a month ago, my target exit was $145,000 based on comps. I decided to push the asking price to $149,000 because inventory was so low and demand was really high in the area. So far, in less than 24 hours, there have been over 15 showings, and I have received 4 full-price offers, one of which has an escalation clause to $152,000 in Omaha, of all places. I am in highest and best status right now until 5 p.m. with more offers likely to come in. So I go on to say, I used to watch house flipping shows like Flip or Flop and Flip This House and think, man, it must be nice to get multiple offers, live in the coast, stuff sells overnight, no big deal. And here we are in Omaha, and it takes a while. Yep. So I'm an old school flipper, and I'm not used to this fancy multiple offer stuff, right? So now I say, I now have had multiple offers in one day on my last 5 flips, all of them selling for above asking price, with 2 of them selling for significantly over that. While this is surreal and obviously very exciting, it really makes me stop and think of how delusional a newer investor / flipper could be if he or she missed out on the Great Recession. It would be really easy to convince yourself that you have this game all figured out simply because the market is so crazy hot right now, and kind of in the rising tide lifts all boats type of a mindset. I hope I'm wrong, but I keep getting this feeling that we're in the 9th inning of this market cycle, and this will be the last summer of a fantastic seller's market. This is me quoting myself. Okay. Just be careful out there and remember Warren Buffett's quote that when the tide goes out, do you discover who's been swimming naked? That was my post.
Sure.
So I did have several replies, and some of them, like here's Colin Schwartz. He was the first one. So this is almost 9 years ago.
Yeah. You weren't even friends with Colin yet.
I had just started getting to know him. So there's a few back and forths, and this handsome cityscape profile picture of a David Chan
Here we go.
Chimes in and says, how much of a floor is there for the $150,000 to $200,000 range products? I wonder now that construction costs are up. The $400,000 plus segment probably was the surprise outperformer this year, but seems like there's just a major supply issue at the sub $200K level. I would love to see a correction in the market so I can buy more, but I do question how big of one we are going to see, if there will even be a meaningful enough of a market correction anytime soon. Now, Okay, so that's the exchange.
God, that sounds so weird to hear what I do remember saying.
Yeah, because I could see you nodding when I was reading that.
Because a lot of people that actually know me thinks that I'm a bit of a perma bear, actually, and to hear me say like, "Oh, there is a floor in a market," that's not a common thing for me to say, and I think it actually worked out okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple takeaways here. Okay. One is, I'm really laughing at my comment about I feel like we're in the 9th inning of this market cycle. Yeah. So, by the way, this was 2017.
Little know you had another 4 years.
If not more. I mean, 4 or 5 years of just like vertical run up in the market values of places. So that did not age well. Now, I do remember, though. So I started thinking, I was like, man, that is so weird. I couldn't believe that you and I had connected. And then I started looking through some of your other posts. And I was like, I totally remember this guy now. Because I, in my head, was picturing based on your name, maybe an Asian fellow like yourself. And I thought, okay, this guy is obviously loaded because he's talking about Class A, and I only buy in Dundee and Midtown, and I want fancy. That's basically the takeaway. I'm paraphrasing, but I was picturing
Sounds
this
like
guy
stereotyping.
That was like mint properties, and I just pictured you a certain way.
Okay.
And it's funny now to meet you so many years later.
Does it correlate to what you had in mind?
I mean,
back
just
then?
Iconic. You've got the look. This is exactly what I was picturing. Okay. I did think you maybe have a cape on or maybe a top hat, but no. But anyway, I just think this is so funny to me that after all this time,
we actually finally have a face-to-face. We'll hash out some of this.
Did you think about these posts when you went to the capping cap rates?
No, I didn't actually. I completely forgot about me being on Bigger
You hadn't
Pockets.
even been on there in years.
It's been years since I even logged on. So I was like, oh, what's going to be dug out here? What dead bodies in the closet?
Well, you are a bit of a digital ghost, and I do want to call out some other little bit of research that I did here,
sure.
Ted, if you don't mind.
No, take the mic.
So I made some notes, and some things that I found were you started investing in real estate in 2010. Is that accurate? Okay. All right. So far we got a check mark.
Yeah.
Class A and B plus properties. I know you threw the plus in there. So very particular he is. 16 single families. We'll get into that. Worked in tech and finance sectors in the U.S. and Asia Pacific region. I wrote in my notes, spy? Question mark.
I mean, now that you know I'm Portuguese, that is not helping case in this situation.
You do not want this stuff on a podcast nowadays. We don't need ICE showing up or anything like that.
No, but anyway, so we'll dig into more of that. But I noticed too, so are you a Longhorn fan? Did you get fully indoctrinated?
Texas? I'm not a sports fan at all, but I did go to UT, and there's still a little bit of that, nostalgia. So
you can claim it when it suits you, but you're not a 24/7, right?
Oh, no.
Did you own a cowboy hat while you were there?
I would not answer that question.
That's a yes.
Oh, yeah. He had the alligator skin boots.
What did your fraternity require it?
Yeah.
Oh, not quite, but there's some history. There's some memorabilia.
There you go.
Okay, so you mentioned when we were hanging out in the green room out there that you were actually Portuguese.
Yeah,
is that right?
I'm Portuguese.
Okay, tell us the story. How did you end up there to here? And you got 1 minute to do it.
Gotcha. So I was actually born in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
So my dad is from the city, so I actually have both Portuguese and British citizenship. So my mom, she's from Macau, which was a Portuguese colony until 1999. And my dad was from Hong Kong, so that's British until 97. So just through birthright, I was both Portuguese and British.
When did you become a spy? During this? Because this is,
straight up, from the get-go.
I used to read a lot of spy novels, and this sounds exactly like the first intro of a character.
Yeah, there's some interesting history.
Okay, all right. So please continue.
So, being born in Asia, we kind of knew that over the years that maybe I'm going to have to split my time between the U.S. and Asia because the politics back in China back then was a little volatile, especially after 1989. So we moved to the U.S. in 1997, became a naturalized U.S. citizen, and ever since.
How old were you then?
I was probably just 7 or 8. So and I had to go back every 2-3 years. We would spend a couple of years here in the U.S. and then we would be back in Asia.
Visa would expire and you'd have to go back and...
Not necessarily, because my dad used to work for Hyatt, so he would actually take on these assignments to run a certain property or whatever, and we would be tasked to a property and live on site, that kind of a situation. So
you ever thought about getting in the hotel business, buying some hotels?
Oh, I would love to get into the hotel business. I'm small potatoes right now, so we'll get there.
No, I'm picturing like where's it, Home Alone 2, where he gets like they forget him in the hotel in New York. New York, that's David. He's just going traipsing around to hotels like Kevin McAllister.
There's been memories of me running in the hotel hallway because we have the whole staff floor to ourselves. So it would be just me and all the other kids.
Get out of the refrigerator.
Yeah, a little bit. It would actually be just room service. They would just have the card. They would just leave it out and we would just like swarm and that kind of thing.
So many hotel investors we've talked to over the years, and they're always like, yeah, we grew up in hotels and we buy hotels. I remember we had one of the long lost episodes that we had. We had a gentleman we interviewed, and he started off as a mechanic in India.
Okay.
Came over and then did maintenance work at a hotel.
Gotcha.
Which led into him buying his first like roadway hotel. It had like, I remember 18 units or something like that.
Okay.
Was able to get it at a low price, did every position in the place.
All right.
And then is now built it to, I think he's got over 30 hotels now throughout the Midwest. So baby steps, but flipping hotels, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Making 8 to 12, 15 million per flip.
I remember when I first came to Omaha, like right next to Westroads, they had I don't know what
American Standard. This guy owns that hotel actually.
Yeah, we looked at it and it was like $1 million and the replacement cost was well above that. But my dad was like, no, you haven't even done a single thing in real estate just yet. You're not buying a hotel. So
they're like, you're just coming off of your diplomatic assignment in London.
I think this guy will sell it if you want me to reach out. So let me know.
Okay.
All right. Hey, we're brokering a deal live here on REIA Radio.
I'm dead serious. I literally just gave him a lead this morning while I was at the gym with somebody I was working out with, and then he's like, I have a client that needs 3 to 4 hotels.
Oh wow.
And same type of thing. And I gave him a call. He's like, yep, I got a whole bunch of sale. He goes, but everything has a number.
I mean, everything has a number. That absolutely is my motto as well. And
you just gotta know the guy to call.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How was Texas? Did you stay there long after college? Was it college and then out? Or?
So because I had a branch of my family actually in Houston, we actually made that our home base for a good couple of years.
Okay.
So I probably spent 7 or 8 years growing up in different tranches, basically in Texas for the most part.
Yep. Okay. And what was next? So you got a degree in...
I actually dropped out of college.
Did you?
I dropped out.
All right.
It was 2007.
How many credits you got left? What? How many credits to finish?
Oh, no, I only went for one single semester, I was just like, no.
He's like, all of them.
Yeah, like I'm done. Because this is like 2007. I wanted to get into architecture school. I wanted to be an architect initially, but none of them was willing to take me in. And the second best choice was UT Austin, just for the name recognition. But I was only able to get into a liberal arts college at that point and figured maybe I'm going to be there for like 2 years, and they wouldn't give me in-state tuition. So I was paying almost like 40 grand just for tuition alone before anything else, like room and board, anything.
Back in
2007.
Holy
yeah,
man. I mean, think about the money you got to save for you have 2 kids coming up.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Mine just dropped on me like a few months ago that she's like, well, I'm like, she's 14. And I can't remember if I told you this, but I'm like, you thought at all about like where you'd go to school and stuff. She, she's an athlete and she pays attention and that kind of thing. And she's like, she gives us, picture a 14-year-old thoughtful look. And she's like, well, if I go Ivy League, and then I don't even remember what she said after that, because I think the blood just rushed to my ears. And I was like, what? And then she's like, or Stanford. And I'm like, so about your college savings plan, I'm like, I'm going to need to call Steve, our financial advisor, after this and seriously up your contribution. If that's the case. Anyway,
my son's like, it's either going to be Georgia or it's going to be UNL, depending on where I get my football scholarship at.
Okay. He's still, yeah, all right. He's hanging on to the dream. You got this, Carson.
That works. Yeah. But I was going to try to switch majors after a while into finance. And I thought, well, if I'm paying $40,000 for an undergrad degree, I mean, that's not something that I can discharge through bankruptcy. And I mean, after 4 years, that's almost $200,000 right there.
Right.
by then I could already tell something was going on in the finance world. And sure enough, 2008 happened. And I was just like, nope, one semester. That's all I need to know. I wasn't really getting much value out of this. I'm out. I'm going to take that $200,000 expected, that I'm going to have to spend here. And I'm just going to see what I want to do and maybe figure something out.
Yeah.
And I can go off on another tangent where I got hired by a former Communist ranking party member.
Okay. It's all coming out now.
Not helping the espionage.
The high treason we'll set that aside. The statute of limitations is expired on some of this.
I need to know the story.
It's redacted heavily, but tell us what you
bring it up and not divulge.
So after I dropped out, I was just really pissed off at that point, and I was just like, man, I got derailed on my dream career of being, on Wall Street working in finance or whatever. Okay, this. I'm going to go to Hong Kong, visit my family for a couple of months just to, reset and figure out what I wanted to do. And on my last day of being in Hong Kong, I was sitting at this, coffee shop, just one table over. They had like a TV interviewer kind of setup going on. And it was this gal. She was just saying it was an English interview. So I thought that was already strange because why would you have an interview in English?
Do you know Chinese?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, wow.
I speak Cantonese, English, and a little bit of Mandarin.
No Portuguese, though.
No Portuguese.
Shameful.
I can't roll my R's. I cannot roll my R's.
Weren't we talking about that?
My daughter makes fun of me because I can't roll my R's.
We were like, because my whole thing was like, what if you were of Spanish descent?
Yeah.
And you had the genetic deficiency where you couldn't roll your R's. Like, what do you even do?
I tried for 2 years, and I just can't roll my R's. You get put in
special ed or something?
Yeah. It was like, they try for 2 years, and then they're like, "Okay, you know what? We're done with you.
You're good.
Just go learn English.
Gold star, Timmy.
Go find something else. You'll do better over there. Get over here." So yeah, that
is so funny that you say that because that's a common conversation. Like my mom speaks Portuguese, German, English, and grandma speaks all that plus French. And everybody can roll their R's.
Yep,
except me and my son. Carson,
I have one daughter, and my wife can. I can, and one daughter who cannot. That's weird, isn't it? Dennis, can you?
Sí, señor.
Oh, wow. It's showing.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
What languages do you know, Dennis?
English is my primary language. I know 20% Spanish. Enough to be bad.
Enough to get the good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
Or you can just buy the headphones with your iPhone and then listen to people's conversations. Yep.
Yeah, but they're going to think you are mentally challenged because there's going to be a delay still. Right. I mean, no matter how good it gets, there is going to be a delay.
I got him in my car. Let's go test it after this podcast.
The first interaction that you have, they're going to look at you like, is he getting all this?
Is going on with you? Yeah.
Ted is buffering.
I told my wife I told my wife I'd go get a pedicure just for the fact that when I test out the headphones and see what they say. No joke. She's like, I'm gonna get a pedicure this way. I'm like, I want to go. She's like, you want to
get a couple?
She's like, you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, I want to put my new headphones in and listen and see what these ladies are saying.
Dude, you need to combo this. You need to combo it with your plot and then download the whole thing so that we can do a recap on a bonus segment of REIA Radio.
Yeah, I'm sure
that's our paid version. Dennis, what's that called?
I'm sure the episode would do really good.
Dennis, what's the bonus content? Come on.
To be decided.
Okay, all right.
Let's continue.
Okay. Anyway, back to you, David. All right, so
David's like, I've never listened to this podcast before. I had no idea what to expect here.
Ranking Communist Party member. So she was basically having this big spiel about how you have to go to a big brand name college, whether it's going to be overseas in Asia, whether it's in the US. And she was especially because I think she was Stanford educated. She was very much into the if you're able to get into Harvard or Stanford or whatever, even though you might be paying $60,000, $70,000 in tuition a year, it's well worth it. And it was almost like a big puff piece for education at that point. And after the interview was done, I was just so pissed off because my entire life just got, completely vaporized in front of my eyes. And I'm like, oh, well, I owe $20,000 still for that one single semester. Great. That's perfect. I just had to go up to her and just gave her my 2 cents.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Did you get interviewed?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
No, it was a private conversation. And I was just like,
because we could Google it and look it up otherwise.
Actually, we might be able to find it.
Yeah,
we might be. But she was like, I just told her hey, I think you're giving terrible advice. This is not a one size fit all kind of a situation. And, you might be sending kids to, their financial graves if they don't understand what they're signing up to. And I thought that was the last of it. And when I got back home, my dad said, oh, Miss Lee's office just called. I'm like, who's Miss Lee? I don't even know who this person is. And because my dad also, he works overseas in a real estate development company, so he kind of knows who the other big players are.
Is it Halliburton?
No, not quite.
Look, all I'm saying is you can tell us you're a spy off camera. That's all I'm saying. Okay, go ahead.
But
why won't he drop this?
I've been binge watching the hell out of The Diplomat. Have you seen that show?
I watched.
Oh my god,
the first
so
season.
Good. Anyway, I'm right in this. So everyone's a spy.
Okay.
I'm just saying I may be on to you.
I'm literally trying to Google David Chan interview in Hong Kong, China right now, and I'm getting nothing.
Because he didn't get recorded.
I didn't get on the interview.
I'm getting an old guy. There's 100 David Chans. Anyway, continue. Go ahead.
So he was like, yeah, Miss Lee called and she wants you to, show up at this restaurant tomorrow, even though your flight is leaving in the morning. We probably should cancel that flight. And I'm like, what's this about? She can literally arrest you if you don't go, because that's the ranking Communist Party member part of the conversation. And he was like, yeah, I don't know what you did. So we're rescheduling that flight and we'll see what happens then. And I was like, oh, okay. That's cute.
Up.
Yeah, I had no idea. I don't know this person. I just heard this interview and I just needed to vent a little bit. And I was just like, oh, I guess I'm getting disappeared and no one will ever see me ever again. And sure enough, next day, I showed up at this restaurant. It's this gigantic 20,000 square foot, a dim sum place. She completely shut that place down. It was just her, 2 bodyguards and her secretary. And I saw the secretary and I walked in. I was like, oh, I'm so I am getting my kidneys harvested and whatever.
Wow.
And she just, when I walked into the middle of the room, it was just this scene where the whole room was dark, other than just the
spotlight right on
the light being right there in the center, one single table.
And how old are you right now?
I was 18.
Okay.
I was 18.
Yeah.
And I walked in and she stood up and she was like, no one in my entire career had the balls to tell me no. So I want you.
So you guys hooked up
to be the assistant director of business development for my company. And you start on Monday. Get a suit.
This did not happen. This happened?
It happened. I was 18.
Shut up.
I thought I was completely screwed. And then when I got back out, my dad was like,
sweating bullets.
Oh yeah. He was just
he'd already called the embassy.
Yeah. He was mute for the rest of the day because he didn't even believe what had happened, because he was just like, oh, this dumb kid probably got himself in trouble or whatever. No, I got myself a job. And that's actually how I got started in this whole trajectory of whatever I'm doing right now. Because, yeah, I showed up. I worked there for 6 months. It was an investment bank kind of a thing where they had, 15, 20 different smaller businesses that they rolled up into this conglomerate kind of a thing. And it was like The Apprentice, where I would be placed in these different divisions every single week. And I would try to learn as much as I can on the spot because...
Oh, so they had a rotational program. So you got exposed to
different... It wasn't even a program. She was just like, here you go. Figure out what is wrong with this division. Figure out what is wrong with this business. And you're going to...
At 18 with no experience.
At 18 with no experience. But I think that it wasn't really what I knew that was important. It was more of the personality and the approach.
She wanted an honest look with open eyes.
Yeah. And that was the part that I really learned quite a bit.
So why was it only 6 months then?
Well, because I was too good at my job.
Did you Elon Musk it? Did you Doge this thing?
Oh, I doged the shit out of this thing. I
worked yourself out of a job.
I fired so many people. I was like, and I turned 19 at that point, and I was like, you know what? If I continue doing this, I would easily have a directorship at any of these subsidiary companies. In fact, multiple companies. I can probably find myself way to, get a nice, decent spot in this thing. But I was like, man, you're 19 and you're firing 1957 people. 1,957. I remember that number because the last person I fired was me.
1,957 people?
People.
Oh my God.
And that was, that's why I knew why she wanted me there, because she wanted an outsider with absolutely no affiliation, with no connections, nothing.
Yeah, you were the axe man.
I was the axe man, and I figured it out pretty quickly.
Yeah, she's like, how old are you? Do you have any relatives?
And then the people had to not take you seriously when you were coming in.
They didn't take me seriously at all. Like, they were like, this is some dumb kid. He's going to, do his thing, make Amber happy, and, call it a day. No, I guess I absolutely had the personality to do a really good job at that role. And I knew that if I was to stay in this role, like, I didn't want to become whatever person that was, going to result from whatever I had to do from all that.
Man, how many multi-million dollars would you have in your account right now if you're still doing it?
I don't even need to think about it. I know what kind of numbers that would look like. And that's why, like, to me, it's like numbers never really mattered necessarily. It was more of a, do I really want to see myself doing whatever I'm doing for the long term, and whether I can sleep at night to a degree.
How was it when it was exit time? Like, how did that go over?
Well, he fired himself.
I fired myself.
Pretty peaceful exit.
I slammed it.
But Amber, was this like another meeting?
No, actually, I explained it to her, pretty much like all my thoughts about it. And actually, I will say I was very happy that she was actually quite understanding. Like, it wasn't a difficult conversation. She knew that, hey, I had the talent to do something with the business world. So she was like, you know what? I mean, the door is always going to be open if you ever wanted to rejoin the company. Sure. Why not? In a way, even though she's a ranking Communist Party member, she was very liberal. And in a way, like, that also taught me a little bit of like pragmatism. A lot of people in that role wasn't like a hardline, I'm a, leftist commie, I believe in the teachings of Mao or anything, like the ideology or whatever. It was really just people having to take on that title to be able to do anything with their lives. And that's the system that they were brought up in. And there's just not any other choices that was available to them. And in a way, that may be why she was kind of pragmatic with me as well, that she left the door open. I mean, she could absolutely say, hey, you can't leave, otherwise I'll harvest your kidney or something, But no, she was like, no, like, you serve the company well. And, if it's just not your thing, it's not your thing. I don't want to necessarily have to, bully you into submission, that kind of a situation. And like, we still send like emails to each other every once in a while, just checking on each other. And that's why it's like no hard feelings whatsoever. And I was very happy that I actually had the room to do that.
Okay, you go to that last company that you're going to quit, but it's that last company you're going to do the clean out, right?
Yeah.
By this time, did you have a reputation?
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it had been like, people talk, they knew you were coming in.
Chainsaw was my nickname. So, I have a
I wrote the Axe Man down right here. I have that written down. Okay. Chainsaw. Wow, that's
was because there was one company I literally completely gutted, other than like 2 people out of, I think, like 150. There were only 2 people left in that company.
Wow.
We just rebuilt the whole thing ground up.
And then how much money did you make in those 6 months?
I made less than $10,000.
Wow. That's not what I was expecting to hear.
I made less than 10,000 because the salary was completely irrelevant. Also, like, overseas, the salaries are absolutely nowhere close to what Americans are paid, where like you could see a department head making probably less than $100,000 back then. And this is like 2008, 2009. So it's been a good, almost 20 years now. But I mean, they would be functioning at maybe like 1/20th of what an American executive would be making. But the incentive for them is not the salary or the benefits or whatever. It is the connections. It is the options or, you know, whatever ownership or whatever side deals that you might have on these kind of situations. So oftentimes it's a big shade of gray in a lot of these kind of fields. And that's also when I started realizing what was happening. Like, hey, why are all these departments so inefficient? Or why is there, you know, P&L completely so skew to any, you know, international competitor? Once you start digging into those kind of situations, you figure out pretty quickly, like, oh yeah, there's definitely something fishy going on with certain people or certain departments.
All right. So after decimating their workforce, you over 6 months, you
the GDP literally dropped those 6 months.
You gave him a big peace out, and then went on to your next adventure. What was that?
I threw a dart on the map because I knew I was done with Asia at that point. And I just said, you know what, whatever city it's going to land on, I'm going to give myself 6 months. If I survived 6 months in this company.
Wait, you actually did this?
I actually threw
a physical dart.
I threw a physical dart.
At a map.
At a map.
This is awesome.
Yeah. I just threw a dart and I was like, you know what? I could have gotten arrested, you know, disappeared, whatever, or I could have completely screwed up at whatever I was doing at this job. And if I survive all this, I think I can survive just uprooting myself and just planting myself in another American city and see if I can do this whole American dream thing and figure out if I can actually do something with myself. And
then you're like, hey, here, I'm just going to go to the nearest big city to that place. Not necessarily.
It definitely wasn't like, oh, it went right, like spot on, like right in the middle into Omaha. But it was like, I think it landed somewhere like in South Dakota or something. And I was like, okay, what's the biggest
2 out of 3? 2 out of 3.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, okay, Omaha, right? And the best part, I think I just like threw it like right in the middle. So it kept hitting the Midwest.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what is around this area? Omaha. Who's in Omaha? Oh, Warren Buffett's here. Okay. I guess it can't be that bad. So I'm going to be here for 6 months and see what happens. And it's been 16 years.
Yeah.
So it worked out.
Yeah.
Do you have any other family here now?
No.
Wow.
No, it's just me.
Man, you are an interesting dude. All right, so you landed in Omaha.
This is what Dennis did too when he decided to come to Omaha.
Oh, like
also.
just randomly?
Yeah.
And
Not that story,
okay.
but yes, my story is very similar to yours.
Oh, wow.
Not the communist thing either. Like that didn't happen to me. But with respect to ending up in Omaha, it was more like happen chance, but it really does feel like home. I understand exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I credit it to luck and chance. And actually, I find Omaha to have been a pretty rewarding experience so far. So yeah, it worked out.
Huh. Okay. Well, you'll figure it out eventually. So what line of work did you land into? Did you start just plowing money into real estate when you landed here?
So when I was 14, like, and this is another tangent here, I already had a tech business back then. So ever since I was a kid, like
I mean, my kid's definitely working on his right now, and that's 12.
I was day trading a bit when I was a kid, and I lost a bit of money in the stock market when I was like 11 or 12, like to the point that I went into the negatives that my parents had to kind of bail me out for like $25,000-$30,000.
How old were you? 14?
11. Like the stock trading. Thank you, CMGI. Like that. This is a tech bubble. Like back in the 2000s.
I feel like I'm interviewing somebody from the movie Inception right now.
What would you do if one of your kids did that?
Oh my gosh!
Oh, they were so pissed.
I mean, like it's like you see this light, like, you know, they're understanding this to enough to play in it, but what the hell have you just did? I got paid a $35,000 bill.
My dad was teaching me like, oh, you need to buy like HSBC and the boring stuff, you know, all the mega cap stocks. And I was like, no, I'm going to get cute. I'm going to buy tech.
Yeah. I want pink sheets.
Yeah. I want pink sheets. I want OTCs. I want all the penny stocks. And then sure enough, I bought CMGI, and then it went from like,
David's talking to a guy off in an actual boiler room, just schlepping a now defunct company stock to you.
Yes, it was bad. And I remember like he was so upset. Like he was like, no, we're going to bail you out, but you're just going to have to go back to school, focus on your studies, and that's the end of it. And I was like, no way, I'm not going to do that.
So what age was the bailout out?
This is like 11 or 12
years old.
Yep. So, and it took me about 2 years to figure it out. I was like, every little bit of money I was able to do with, whatever, like small little side gig at that point. I was, okay, I'm just going to save up. I'm going to eventually pay back my parents with some interest. That was kind of the initial concept. And being a 14-year-old at that time, I was like, there's only so many things I could do to make money. And I was a nerd. I played a lot of video games. And back then I was like, okay, maybe there's like these virtual worlds where, people are selling their accounts for money or, stuff like that. I was like, okay, maybe I can, have some fun playing video games, but also, maybe I'll build up an account, sell it to somebody else, make some money, rinse and repeat. But then I found this game called Second Life. It's like a virtual reality. In fact, it's like Metaverse from Facebook. Just they did it back in 2003. And I started, doing like virtual buildings, and it's not even really a game. It's just like a chat room with like a 3D interface on it.
I played a lot of SimCity back in the day, but
yeah, that's it's kind of similar where it's like you got like it literally is just like a 3D virtual platform where
you're scratching the itch of wanting to be an architect, but not pursuing it.
I started building like virtual buildings for these people, and they would give me like $25-$30 every single project, and it's a virtual building. And then I would take on bigger and bigger projects, and then the $30 project becomes $100, and $100 becomes $500, and then
you're building it yourself with your character.
Yep.
You're building a house or a castle.
I'm designing the thing. I'm making it look aesthetic.
How are you talking it? Like, how are you connected with the people that are buying this stuff from you? Just online chat,
online chatting, same thing, kind of the networking and all that. Just like how
do you just like DM them with a really sick looking castle or something and be like, want this, bro? $50.
Oh, not really. Even like,
so funny to
I
me.
think I was kind of like, I did a lot of like Miami style, like the Art Deco kind of style buildings. And people really love that stuff. So they actually seeked me out to build like a whole district to replicate like Miami Beach. So it was like one small building became like 5 of them, and then a whole district. And then the thing about this, interface is like, it's not really a game, because then you started developing like virtual real estate. These people actually paid real life money to have server space, to rent server space to support these buildings. So the server that each of these buildings are hosted on, it's considered a district, and they would pay like $200 a month. I just decided that if I was to build a building, why not charge them, $350 or $400, so you get the whole thing all decked out and whatnot. And I actually managed to do real estate even at like 14, 15 years old. And that's kind of how the whole thing started, I think.
Could you imagine him going in for a job interview trying to explain his career?
Yeah.
So you worked for a Russian oligarch or
a Chinese one, yeah.
Sorry. So the Communist Party representative, and then went on to black market sell virtual real estate in games.
Yep.
Which is totally a thing now, though.
It is totally a thing now, yeah.
I have so many correlations that you have with people like Kaiser Soze off of you guys know what I'm talking about? Dennis, help somebody?
No.
The Usual Suspects?
No.
Okay. Kevin Spacey's character.
Okay.
Primo movie. If you haven't seen that, you have to.
Kevin Spacey's homeless now, you know that.
Is that
some virtual real estate?
Is that the movie you were talking about, where it is the guy just like literally hears a word and then literally takes a whole character based on the word that
tells
he
the
gets?
entire story while he's being interrogated by a police detective chief, and he made up everything in the story by looking around the room and pulling words off of the coffee cup. So yeah, you're in this setting, you are Kevin Spacey's character.
All right,
Kaiser Soze. All right, so let's continue on. I'm in, man. What's next for you?
Well,
diamond heists.
No, not quite.
Rhino horn powder smuggling.
But I think like everything kind of tied together because I think like the Second Life stuff happened when I was like 14 and I got out of the business in 2012. So I did it for almost 10 years, like
kidding.
8 or 9 years.
And it held up that long.
It held up that long
in that universe.
Yeah. And it's still going today. Like
crazy.
It's still a thing. And in a way, I kind of got out a little too early because like I share that same consensus that in tech, nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
You will hit a wall eventually. And I thought, hey, I built a decent thing, and I will probably have to eventually transition to something else. And I decided real estate was going to be my thing.
Yeah.
And that also same confluence of me deciding like, oh, I'm going to move to Omaha.
Yep.
That's why instantly I just decided that it was going to be real estate. The minute I landed in Omaha, I already had the Second Life business already kind of running off to the side, that it generated enough cash flow for me that I could immediately go into Omaha, find a local bank and say, hey, I have a stream of income, even though I don't have a conventional job or a W-2. I would like to see if I can work with somebody that can actually facilitate me transitioning from this weird thing of whatever my career was at that point into something just traditional and conventional. And thankfully, someone did actually decide to take me up on it. And sure enough, I've been with the same banker for the last 16 years.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to shout them out?
Oh, yeah. Katie Lanchowski, Northwest Bank. She's fantastic in that case. Yeah. So she absolutely had some very interesting conversations about the whole Second Life stuff. Like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Absolutely plenty of that.
How much money were you making on that?
I think I tallied up over all the years of doing Second Life. I think I made over $1 million.
What?
Yeah, I made over $1 million.
Were you expecting that?
No.
I did not know what was going to come out of your mouth, but it did not have six figures.
There was a reason why that I think I had the confidence to say I'm going to drop out of college.
Yeah.
And also, I think I can make it anywhere if I decided to set my sight on something.
So you kind of looked at college like, okay, look, I'm going to start out under the gun with $200K of crushing debt that I'm going to have to dig my way out of for probably 15 years of indentured servitude to chip away at the principal balance. Yeah. And you just said, screw that. I'm smart. What I learned in college, I didn't really agree with or like anyway.
I didn't want my parents to pay my college tuition. So it absolutely was very much a physical feeling when I had to sign that check to pay the tuitions. And I think that was probably my best decision I ever made in my career, that I just decided that, you know what? Opportunity costs, right? You either go the traditional route, going through 4 years of your youth, that, hey, you can start early and let time compound itself with your investments. And I just decided to do that. Yeah. Rather than sit and say, hey, I'm going to, go through 4 years of college, maybe get my MBA. I'm going to go out there at, 26, 27. I'm still going to have to work 3 or 4 years before I have any realistic, experience before I can actually say, hey, I'm starting my career in my 30s.
Why real estate? Like, did you know someone that was investing in it, or did you just from your time researching finances and other, operatives in other countries? This
is going to sound a bit weird, but I think being Asian is very much a big thing about like the real estate thing, because like if you look at the Chinese economy, like if you look at the ratio of what the stock market, the bonds market, the real estate market in the US, I think it's like 40% of US wealth is in the stock market, whereas in China it's less than 15%.
Oh, is that right?
And then in real estate here in the US it's like 30%, but in China it's like 75-80%.
Okay, so a big store of wealth in China traditionally is real estate. That's
because
kind of the thing.
A lot of people just do not really trust governance in China, and it's such a new economy that a lot of things are just starting to develop out. So a lot of people feel like, if I buy a house, it's something I can touch, it's something physical.
They can't come and take my house away.
They can't take it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they have scar tissue for sure from previous administrations.
There's been so many like shows in like 60 Minutes and all these other about how these cities have been developed in China, and they're completely
like
developed.
fake cities.
Well, they're developed.
I wouldn't say fake cities. They're functioning cities, but they're just completely useless. Yeah. Like they would be like,
and all these people have their whole entire life savings in buying these condos, and some of them never even get finished. Some of these buildings never get finished. They're up in the sky and they're not finished.
You're lucky if you have a shell in certain situations. Like right now, there are plenty of projects that are completely stalled where there's literally just farmland. And that's all you have. And it might even be generous to say farmland. A lot of these sites are like industrial wastelands, landfills. And because it was such a go-go kind of an atmosphere for the last 20 years. Because I remember when I was a kid growing up in Asia, like it was cheap. It was like you could probably buy a condo in Hong Kong, a decent condo waterfront, for about $200,000 in a decent area of town. That same condo today is probably worth $2 or $3 million.
That's nuts, man.
And same thing happened. Like for us, we're considered the colonies because Hong Kong and Macau, they're former Portuguese and British. But if you go into the mainland, you would see these cities where like 10 years ago, there was just nothing. Absolutely, it would be completely flat. And fast forward a couple of years, you would see like 50 skyscrapers of over 50 stories in height.
Crazy.
Just suddenly just pop up everywhere. And it was speculative. It was very speculative that people were just willing to buy, and thinking values were always going to go up forever. And we're now getting the lesson that is not the case.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Ted just pulled up some pictures of some cities or a city. Yeah, with basically huge houses.
Well, the crazy ones are the skyscraper cities, and then they have highways with 10 lanes in and out.
Yeah,
and there's like one car.
And there's
nothing.
Yeah, there's like you would see these mega projects where they would spend $20-30 billion, and there might be 100 cars that would go on those roads a month.
That's crazy. Well, okay, let's do this. Your real estate, we haven't really dug into it all yet. You, when we were talking beforehand, and the little I know about you, you have focused really on higher end homes or ones that are in really good neighborhoods, right? You like if you live in and around Omaha, you're probably familiar with the Dundee neighborhood. It's kind of a midtown-ish now. Midtown's a little bit of a moving target, but a lot of wealth. Warren Buffett still lives in Dundee. And it's a very attractive place to live. Why did you pick Dundee as kind of your spot?
When I first started, it was not a strategy to be focused on Dundee. I was more focused on wanting to buy foreclosures because I was very tough negotiator. So I knew that to negotiate with the banks was going to be one of the more favorable strategies where I could buy houses at the values I need to completely renovate them.
And if you can't, you just threaten to fire them. You're like, look, I don't know if you know this. Last financial institution I spent any time at, 1,500 bodies were left in my wake. I'm sorry, 1957.
I will always remember that number.
Okay. All right. I will write that down. 1957. Okay, please continue. Sorry.
So my banker, because she kind of had an idea that I was wanting to do like a lot of renovations and to take on this buy and hold strategy. So she was saying like, hey, you might want to look into these parts of towns that are more established. And thankfully I did listen to her that I was buying all over town initially. But once I started realizing like, hey, in West Omaha, there's just the center of gravity around things like UNMC or, the Dundee kind of intersection where the city center is. There's just none of that kind of lifestyle and maybe the employment centers that I thought maybe instead of just randomly buying a whole bunch of foreclosures, because you can always strike a good deal in a suburb, but in suburbs, you just don't have that competitive advantage. It's oftentimes based on price. So in Dundee, it's almost like a block by block by block kind of a basis on valuations.
I'd agree with that.
Where I was like, hey, if I'm willing to put in that level of money, in Dundee, people might realize that value a lot quicker than somebody in the suburbs, because in the suburbs you have to have the whole neighborhood to rise in value before.
That is a great point, actually, and just to kind of underscore that or dig in a little bit further. So Dundee is like a lot of larger cities. Omaha's about 1 million population in the MSA. A lot of them are built similarly. So you start typically with the downtown. That's where a lot of the original early 1900s commerce happened. A lot of shipping, if you live on a river, stuff like that. So that's typically downtown. Then it goes to Midtown. That's generally going to be your like mid-century type builds, maybe 1920s. They usually kind of work their way off of a natural boundary. But those type of houses that were built in the kind of like early mid 1900s, there's so much variation in those that you can get away with comping higher than you can in suburbia, where everything's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car that's worth between 250 and 270,000, right? Like there's only so much you can do with that. To your point,
you brought up another point where it's a construction. Like a lot of these houses in the Dundee area was built 100 years ago, and we just don't build them the same. So a lot of these foreclosures I was buying out west, once I started opening up the walls, then I was starting to see all the different issues like, hey, foundation settling, or, the lumber kind of rotting out and whatnot.
Ooh, look, black mold
everywhere. and there were so many deals that we just walked away from in West Omaha because there was just no way we would see any of the money that we would put into to get a house to a reasonable.
And the taxes are a lot higher up there. On top of that, when you're dealing with Midtown, you got to deal with the lead-based paint.
Yep.
So there's some give take there.
Yeah. But I think with the amount of renovations that we managed to do, we absolutely appreciated that the build quality of these houses, they all had good bones. So we felt a lot more confident to invest the level of kind of capital that we were putting in. Because the first couple of houses I was buying at like $50,000 when the listing was like $125,000, $150,000. I was able to get that spread to put in $100,000 into these houses. I felt fairly confident that, I was still getting them under replacement costs.
Yeah,
that was not the case in the suburbs when I was doing that. So in a way, it was sheer luck to a degree as well that I managed to buy a whole bunch of my initial portfolio in a very small part of town. So it was like the northeast quadrant of 50th and Underwood.
Okay.
So
much easier to manage. And it was almost to a point where I started buying up the entire block that I thought, hey, if I'm able to secure the entirety of a block, maybe then it could become a development site over time. So I think that also kind of narrowed the focus instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to, shotgun approach, buy anything and anything. Maybe I should focus my limited amount of capital to a small district, and especially when I renovate one house, that's going to have a pinball effect that is going to impact the house that I also own on the same street, that is going to bring up those comp values over time.
Yeah. Have you ever done a real life monopoly where you've had 3 houses right next to each other, or 3 on the same street?
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Like
I still
have. I have a row. So yeah.
Okay.
I have a row of houses on 55th and Dodge. So
that was my goal for a while, was to have like 3 in a row. It was just a stupid, because like this is
like Monopoly.
And I didn't have any friends that were in real estate, so I was just like, nobody gives a shit. So I might as well make this fun. So I just made it like a real life Monopoly. I was like, man, I really need another one on Janbrook Boulevard, and I'll have 3.
Yeah, I was told to make my sign to resemble the Monopoly board. Yeah.
That's cool. So David, you jumped into pretty heavy renovations in older homes. Did you have a plan for that, or was that, I know you mentioned you weren't specifically setting out to target Dundee in particular for all of these, but were you like, hey, I'm in like heavy reno, I can get a really cheap strike price on this? Were you just like, I have enough of a buffer here, I can figure it out?
Yeah. So the mentality back then is I already had Second Life as kind of like my cash flow driver at that point, that I wanted to build the real estate business to be something that it can just go on autopilot. I don't want houses that would require a lot of my attention. So I thought, well, if I have the margin by buying them cheap enough, that maybe I should just completely renovate them, so that I wasn't going to have, worry about, this, the toilet getting clogged or some sort of mechanical issues with the furnace or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just thought maybe I'm just going to completely renovate these houses top to bottom, that I was also going to be able to find a better quality of a tenant to take off a lot of the pressures of operating an asset, so that I can focus on whatever else I was doing at that time.
I totally agree with you. And I know you and I have both done massive rehabs. I focused on it as a business model. I know that it's something you've not focused on purpose.
Yeah. I ran the other direction.
But, we've all ended up there. But the one thing that I liked about that is I was buying houses that some were condemned for 7 years.
Right.
And I liked the South Omaha market. That was the area I liked. And I wanted to go high end because every one of them was turning into an Airbnb. What I found though was I could say it needs everything. I could budget the plumbing on my walkthrough and the electrical and the windows and the furnace and all the mechanicals, so on, so on, so on. And then I if it didn't need full plumbing, maybe we could splice into it. If it didn't need full electrical, then I felt like those are all wins.
Right.
Because I went into it with my price, assuming it needed everything.
Yep.
And the flip side is that, Owen will go do some of these flips and he has lots of successes. So I'm not diminishing that. But then he'll like, oh, I had this one and, I didn't realize it needed X, Y, and Z. I thought those items were good.
Right.
And then I lost my ass on this one.
Right.
But he's able to turn and burn 3 to 5 of them a month, where mine personally were taking up to 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
What's kind of the feedback that you're getting from these type of projects? What's the positives and negatives that you've found so far?
It's absolutely a lower return of a business model where, like, for me, I can
low return instead of doing mass, but wouldn't you say it's bigger return on those individuals or not?
You're talking cash flow, not equity, right?
I'm targeting cash flow.
Yeah.
So, but an initial objective was absolutely the cash flow, but over the 15-year track record, the equity appreciation has been phenomenal in buying Class A, especially in Dundee. So, initially when I was coming out into wanting to do deals, I thought maybe I was just going to do 1 or 2 deals a year. That was already enough for me. So with that mentality in mind, I was willing to get extremely aggressive with my negotiations so that I was going to just target the deals that were, extremely favorable so that I can, have the entire budget if I wanted to rebuild the house top to bottom if I wanted to. And just like you said, if there was going to be some pleasant upside, that was great. But I never really, anticipated that was going to happen. But sure enough, we had a couple of deals where, we came in significantly under where our renovation budget needed to be. And those ended up being stellar winners over time.
Let's make sure to talk next week because I have a client that I'm about to list a couple duplexes that are right in the heart of Dundee. Mm-hmm. And you might be interested in those too, where they're not bad, but they definitely could use
it. Anne Conway?
No. Okay. But I know who that is.
Okay. Okay.
Mark it up. 25%.
Okay.
No, this gentleman is in Denver.
Okay.
And this is the only assets he has, and he's had them for like 20 plus years.
We were just trying to buy some duplexes in Dundee.
Yeah.
And those numbers are not working out. So we're walking from that one. So we can absolutely talk about it.
Yeah. I'll make the phone call.
Yeah.
It's something I had listed, and he ended up with a lead-based paint issue.
Okay.
But it was somebody from another country, and they play a lot in the dyes, and he's like, it's not my property, but he's the one getting the slap on the wrist because of it, which is a very interesting conversation to have with people. I've had 2 of those situations in the last 12 months with clients.
Okay.
Kind of going back to what you were saying though about, Ted, you mentioned you went out specifically looking for condemned homes, and you've talked a lot about your really big renovation projects.
It's very gratifying also to see those projects.
It for sure is. Yeah. And when I first started, I did a lot of heavy rehabs also on foreclosures because like you, I kind of started right around that financial crisis era. And I bought a lot of REOs, a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of them I would do a heavy rehab on, then I'd refinance and then just keep them as rentals because I liked, like you, I like to have about 10 years of just fairly maintenance-free, leasing. Right. Yep. And maybe you do unit turns, maybe you have to change the carpet, or if you have carpet in there, maybe 3 times over 10 years, maybe.
Yeah, we usually do hardwood floors just because it's so much easier.
Maybe your tenants are from Afghanistan to keep the furnace at 90 degrees and warp the floor.
Okay. But I do see your point on those, and I do I still have properties that I bought that I completely gutted and they're still in great shape. I mean, the problem is everything becomes dated after a while.
Totally.
So it's like you could drop a whole bunch of coin on a sick remodel and then 8 years go by and you're like, okay, gray is not, or you know what I mean?
Right,
the countertops or whatever, flooring gets aged.
I think thankfully, because I wanted to be an architect, I actually was able to choose some of the more timeless type of design choices that it's never going to be cutting edge for that specific moment, but it's also never going to be completely out of style.
No, I want to ask you something though, David, you're in prime, midterm, short-term rental geography where you're located.
Yeah.
How come, I know you've thought about this, you're a smart guy. Why not mess with that also? Or
I'm lazy.
Okay.
I'm lazy. That's the answer to that question.
Just so you know, you can automate almost everything now. But
Oh, he knows.
well, I gotta tell you what, I didn't. It was a lot of work. Don't get me wrong, and I ended up self-managing most of the portfolio at the end. But you could keep the property fairly nice at all times. So when I went through and did a massive overhaul of a property, it stayed nice. Besides like simple issues that happened because somebody was being stupid.
Yeah.
Or I had a midterm person that maybe screwed up walls or something like that. But I could go sell that property at any point or get it appraised at any point. And it was going to get top appraisal because it always looked new because I was cleaning it so damn often.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do want to say, like, I'm playing devil's advocate, but I believe I'm in your camp, by the way, because I've had a grand total of 1 Airbnbs that I self-manage, and no thanks. Maybe that'll change in the future, but I am not a bed and breakfast runner.
You still own that building?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
It's for sale.
What do you do with the Airbnb then? Is it just sitting there vacant?
No, I rented it furnished.
Okay.
Long term.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of wondering. Is it pretty?
I got a
safe place?
6-month lease out of it, and I'm like, I'm hoping I'm going to be selling this in 6 months. So, anyway, okay. So, was that kind of your model? You did a few of these a year. It sounds like you picked up some foreclosures, did heavy rehabs, found a banker that liked your weird side business of Second Life. Sorry.
Yep.
And when's the last time you did one of these property projects? Like, are you still buying them currently?
I'm still buying them. And I think a lot of folks know me as one that if there's a distressed property that needs a lot of renovations, to send that listing over to me.
How long ago did you buy your last property?
I'm about to close on one in about 2 weeks' time.
Okay,
So
what about the one before that?
the one before that was about a year ago.
Okay. So it's kind of like finding the right deal.
Yep.
Not eager to blow the wad. You're just waiting for the right one, get it done and hold it, probably pay it down.
Yeah.
And
there are moments in time where, for example, when interest rate was at a favorable kind of period back in 22, we would go very aggressive where we bought 3 or 4. I bought 3. I helped a business partner of mine buy another 4. So that was a big acquisition phase. But then we would just sit tight for the next 2 years doing absolutely nothing because it was just not a favorable time for, finding deals, or the financing just didn't line up right. We have absolutely no qualms to just sit tight and just do nothing.
But do you feel like right now it's a buyer's market?
Oh, absolutely.
So, this is a perfect opportunity if you can be a cash buyer or aggressive.
I think to buy things right it's absolutely possible right now, where if you come in with a strong offer in clean terms, I think there are going to be a lot of folks that are in a kind of like where they might have bought something when things were going crazy back in 21 to 22, especially like for an operator like me. I have a 5-year term on all my financing. So I would stipulate that maybe some of these other guys might be looking at, their renewals coming up in 26 or 27, that maybe they might not be able to support those numbers if they went a little too aggressive back in 21 or 22. And we would be in the position to help them out.
As a real estate agent, I've never actually ever seen this, but in the last year and a half, the listings I've had, which have been all investments listed, a lot of them are sitting. And I've never seen so many clients saying that they're willing to do a seller finance or a creative financing deal. I've never seen people tell me that they're willing to look at it. Before, like, I get those emails every week and they're like, I'm not interested in that at all. We're going to hold it out. No, I got 3 clients right now and they're like, yep, I'm open to creative ideas. I got the little 8 unit. He's like, yeah, if I can cover the pay off the note, I owe a couple $100,000 on it. I'll finance the other $400,000 or $500,000 on it. Like, I've never seen that. And it's happening consistently because things are just sitting. Nothing is selling right now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And anybody's like, give me a lower offer, cash. Let's figure it out. Everybody's open to negotiate. And there's a lot of investors that know that they can get good deals right now. And they want to unload some of the craps that they're sitting on. Yeah, to upgrade their portfolio.
And I'm like I said earlier, I'm a perma bear. Like I do tend to be a bit more on the negative side on things, and yet still in the current environment, I find that it is an interesting deal making kind of an era. Especially like the last couple of months where, like in Dundee, where if you were to ask me in 22, hey, can I even schedule a showing into some of these houses, chances are it's a 50-50. It might sell before even, any showings might be arranged. And now for the first time ever that I actually can find a couple of options in that Dundee Memorial Park area that I could possibly shop around, or that I could ask, hey, if I'm coming in all cash, would you be willing to take a lower price? That conversation never happened until probably the last 6 months, I would say.
Yeah. What's next for you? I know you and I talked last week, I think at Caffeine and Cap Rates, about you were looking at a commercial property or maybe a couple.
Yeah.
What about that interests you now? Primarily you're a single family and duplex guy, right?
Yeah, I think because the company has gotten to a point where it's just difficult for a single house to make an incremental, impact on the portfolio as a whole.
Yeah.
So that we're starting to look into, hey, maybe we should think about buying larger assets like an office building or, a retail space, something like that I could also diversify a little bit away from just being a residential operator into a different product class. But it's still, early stages in the whole concept. So right now, I still think there's still plenty of opportunities in residential. And like I said, if the right deal comes in front of me in Dundee for a duplex or whatever, that would absolutely be something that I would be much more interested in than going out of my way to, buying a office building, that kind of a thing.
Right. Yep. Ever want to buy an office building? Let me know. I will make you a deal, my
I was
friend.
trying to push some people to you just yesterday.
Were you?
Yeah, I was in a meeting and they needed some commercial space and they wanted something in Council Bluffs. And I name dropped you and said that they should talk to you about you and your building. And they said that would work out perfect.
I love it. That's I've got some updates there. Got some leasing updates for you.
Sweet.
All right. Well, this is, God, you have such an interesting background, man. I could talk to you for more and more and more, but we have a couple sections that we want to make sure and hit, and one of them is a fan favorite, and we call it
Failing Forward.
And you can probably tell by the title of this bad boy that we are interested in hearing about something that did not go according to plan, but maybe you learned something from it and cussed out a Soviet dignitary, not Soviet, sorry. Chinese communist
party member.
Getting my communist party members.
What was that $20,000 mistake that you just write it off as a expensive school?
But you just write it off.
Yep, just write it off.
But you're glad it happened.
Yeah, having the experience firsthand definitely feels a lot more different than just being, philosophical about it. So yeah, I'm very happy that I dropped out, that I will say.
Initial shock wore off and you realized it was a blessing.
Oh, it was
right?
absolutely one of the best traits I ever made.
Nice.
Well, one question before we wrap up today is you self-manage, right?
Yeah.
And you call yourself lazy.
Yeah.
So most lazy people don't want to self-manage, just to be honest. What made you want to do that? And how much longer are you going to continue being the property manager?
At the current rate, I think I could indefinitely continue being my own property manager, because having the portfolio be positioned the way I did, where most of these renovations have taken care of the majority of anything inside of these houses, there's really no need for like a lot of regular maintenance, that kind of thing. Like, we're not going to have a plumbing line, just suddenly break, or a furnace, suddenly go out or anything like that. So, and also the tenant quality that we were able to secure for the majority of the portfolio is phenomenal. Like, I have tenants that have been with me for, over 10 years at this point.
Yeah.
So they appreciate living in the neighborhood and the property that you have.
They've made the home, it's a home for them. It's no longer just a property. So when you're able to foster that kind of a working relationship with some of your tenants, it's a lot easier in interaction, where like, even if there might be some maintenance that might be needed, they already know exactly who's going to show up, who's a technician. They don't even need to contact me to schedule a lot of the stuff. They already know what needs to happen. So I have a fantastic relationship with my tenants, that having this model really takes a lot of that workload off of my plate, that I could spend a whole month where I probably have less than 5 calls from a portfolio of 16 properties of my own. And I also manage a couple others for a business partner of mine, that it's hardly anything. So I don't see the need to, bring in a property manager on board, unless we're going to be going to either a different direction of a different product class, or we just have so many homes under our management at that point.
When it comes to hiring a manager, one thing that people love about managers is the fact that they're able to keep the rents to market. Mm-hmm. Do you find that your properties are at market rents, or do you feel like you're below market rent because you've had people in for 10 years. Like Owen didn't raise rents for 15 years on certain
Right.
people and got his in, and that's a conversation in its own.
He adds 5 years to this story every time he tells it.
Okay,
Well,
was
yeah.
it 15 years?
No.
We actually have a clause in our lease that it automatically adjusts rents by a couple of percent every single year, even if you're renewing.
Got it.
So, but yeah, absolutely. Like, for example, if somebody was renting for me prior to 21, 22, they absolutely have a much lower base rent, so that they would probably still be a bit under where market rate probably could be. But for the sake of maintaining that working relationship, I don't have any qualms whatsoever earning maybe like 10% less compared to what I could be getting.
What's the average value of your properties in that area?
Property value
Yeah,
or rent?
property value.
Ooh, 350 to 400.
I mean, these are really nice properties.
Those are the more entry
Ted,
level
they
stuff.
are mint properties.
Mint.
Not just
That actually is
Pretty
why
nice.
I specifically chose the name of Mint Omaha, to really emphasize like, hey, I really want to make sure that people know we are doing our best to make sure these homes are well taken care of. And it is a mint property. It is supposed to be a fixed up house that you should be able to feel comfortable and be willing to treat it as almost your own home.
In a $350,000 house, you said is renting in the 2000s.
No, it's actually approaching the high twos now.
I mean, they're getting a great deal, and but you've had it so long, it makes great
sense. It makes sense for me.
Wow.
And that's, we're starting to even go above and beyond that product class, that we're starting to invest in homes in the $600,000 to $800,000 range.
whoa.
And that's the adventurous part of me kind of saying, hey, this is a market call.
Do you have some of those already?
I do.
And are those hard to rent? Because
They are,
I can't even fathom
yeah,
renting one of those.
they are definitely more challenging. And I also expect a lower return on those houses, because I think that the equation for those houses change a bit, where if you're on the lower end, and I say lower end by like anything 400 or below, I think you can still get a fairly attractive rent to value kind of proposition on those properties. But once you get to, $700,000 or $800,000 homes, Omaha can only support, so high of rent.
I had this exact same conversation with was it you and me or I can't remember if I had a one-off with somebody, but we were talking about this exact where exactly is the point of diminishing returns for rental income at different price points.
Well, nice thing
in Omaha specifically,
but you're right by the hospital, so you're trying to get doctors and so on in there.
And in fact, the majority of our tenants, I would say, are UNMC affiliated, especially the last like 2 years, almost like 2/3.
And you mentioned earlier too, you get a lot of referrals. Obviously, people in the medical profession, they're going to talk to people at work and
refer another
call David,
incoming doctor that's coming in. Hey, if you need a house, call me up. We'll take a look at whatever properties that we have under renovations, or we might be looking into buying. And I've even bought homes for people just because I know that, hey, if I find a right deal and these guys are, coming in for only a couple of years of a contract, they might like Omaha, but they absolutely are not at a point of wanting to double down and invest and buy a house. I've signed leases where it's like a 4-year contract for the entire duration of the time that they're going to be here working for the med center. Yeah. That I can actually lock it in. I can tell my banker, you have that level of predictability and you know exactly what's going to happen with this house, that, we can kind of line things up well with that kind of setup.
What does a $600,000 to $800,000 house rent for?
Maybe like the low 4s to mid 4s right now. So if you're looking at the returns, you could easily break up a $600,000 or $800,000 house. You could buy 2 smaller homes and you absolutely make more.
Crush it with cash flow.
Rent, right. Yeah. In cash flow. But I think for us, we have a view that, the U.S. is a K-shaped economy. So there's going to be the top income earners. I think they're going to do a lot better in the future rather than the bottom part of that K. So our bet is basically there's going to be a focus on these neighborhoods where that level of wealth is going to be concentrating. And I think Memorial Park is absolutely one of those kind of parts of town in Omaha that would do that.
I'm mind blown that you're buying these houses and getting those rents in Omaha. I just didn't know it was there, to be honest with you.
I think a lot of the locals are very resistant on paying those kind of rents.
For sure. 100%.
It was 100% of all the leases I signed in 2025. Not a single person was a Omaha native.
Oh,
they're all from, another city moving in for a relocation, and it's all out of towners. Not a single person was a local that signed a lease with me.
So they're moving from Seattle or San Francisco or New York or wherever. They're like, hey, big deal. I was paying this in New York for something before this size. Yeah,
this is absolutely nothing. They would be like, hey, I'm paying $6,000 for a single one bedroom in New York City, and you're telling me that I can have something, just one block away from Memorial Park where I can walk my dogs, where I can feel safe, and I don't need a car to walk to the Dundee, intersection where I can, have a nice meal at a restaurant or anything. That kind of lifestyle at even like, it's $4,000 for a nice house. To them, it's like,
big deal.
I'm cost cutting.
Right.
In Omaha, rather, I'm living it up, having 3 or 4 times more space that where they were coming in from a bigger city or whatever.
Wow. I'm really glad we dug into that, because that was eye-opening. I learned a lot from that.
It's different where I think it's definitely a market call on, whether that's going to continue. And I like to say Omaha is kind of like maybe like a little bit of I don't know if this is the right analogy. If you put a lighter underneath a piece of sheet metal, the heat is eventually going to spread. And I find like cities like LA or New York or Miami, those are where your lighters are lit under. But eventually we're still one country. That heat is eventually going to seep into other places. So especially like last couple of years, remote work, people are, a lot more mobile. They don't have to be in an office location or whatever. I find that theme to just completely accelerate I thought it was going to take 15, 20 years for us to start seeing those numbers of what we're getting today. We got them in 5 years, from 2020 to 2025. I thought it was going to be, Omaha was just going to be a 2 or 3%. That's how far we're going to have to raise our rents every single year to, get to where market should be. But yeah, eventually we achieved that acceleration in 21, 22.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mind blown, because I guess I've just been helping clients with the smaller end stuff.
Yeah,
and I know you don't have anything of that caliber.
No, hell no, I do not. I don't even have my own house. All right, well, this is super interesting stuff, man. But we do have a final section that we have to slog through here because we're running out of time.
Okay,
so let's start the OT with Owen and Ted. I did a slow roll on the
yes, you did.
on the intro of the segment there. All right, so the drill here, David. We've got some questions for you. We're going to fire at you, and we're going to do this one after the other here. So we've got my first question for you is going to be: you're going to write a book. Hopefully, at some point, I want to hear. I mean, you should write a book, 100%. What would the title be or topic?
Failing Upwards.
Failing Upwards.
Yeah.
I like it. I feel like he's giving us a nod.
Yes.
Like a little homage.
We might get first read.
Signed copy.
There were plenty of career mistakes I've had in my career where I've lost plenty of money with either bad contractors, where projects had, cost overruns.
I know that life. Trust me.
Yeah. So what? That happens?
But I think being willing to be persistent and real estate, it's about, time is a very important component of real estate.
For sure.
So thankfully I was willing to tough it out and just manage those relationships to make sure those partners I had was willing to stick with me, even though I had all my rough spots, that we rode through the storm in multiple occasions and just let time heal all wounds. And I think that's one big thing that I'm still able to survive here, even though I've had projects where I lost over $1 million at one point.
That $1 million one should have been the failing forward there.
Yeah, that absolutely is a failing forward part, but yeah.
I still want to know about the $1 million. Okay, so here's the question. We've all had crazy contractor stories. It's polluted our podcast.
That's a good way to put it. Polluted.
If you guys could give a new investor a piece of advice on vetting a new contractor to work with, what's the one thing that you guys would say to do when vetting a new contractor?
Stand your ground. Don't let them push you around. That's one thing where I feel like, especially in constructions, where it might seem, reasonable for someone to say, hey, I need 50% up front to, take on a project. Never do that.
Yeah.
Like, you need to show up. Like, it should be a reasonable working relationship where you need to deliver the goods before, any money starts flowing. And I think
Before any money
starts flowing, because I think in markets where things might be a bit more competitive, I could absolutely see that there might be that initial impulse to, find somebody and get a project rolling, that urgency, just to keep things moving along. But that's the part where, if you're not careful and, get carried away with that urgency, I think that's where you get into trouble. And I definitely paid the price on a lot of those kind of.
I've given upfront checks to everybody, but but a very small portion up front, like 10%. What about you?
What advice would I give?
Yeah.
I'll take a slightly different tack on this. I will say I would tell any new investor that is entering into a new relationship with a contractor that they should buy their own materials.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
On your first several projects.
Yeah.
Until you get to a point where you actually know what stuff costs. And also, by the way, pro tip from me, because I have forgotten about this. So Menards, kind of a Midwest home goods. If you're not from here, you're probably familiar with Lowe's or Home Depot, similar to that. Menards here, they have an 11% off rebate coupon that you get. And what a lot of contractors like to do is go there with the deposit you gave them and pocket the 11%. You will never see that.
Yep.
True.
Unless you know to ask for it or you buy your own materials.
Yep.
So you can save yourself 11% on your material budget just by doing this. And then you get the hang of it and you learn a little bit. And then on your next one, you'll know what stuff should cost.
I think showing up is a big part of it too. To be hands-on with knowing where your numbers are at is hugely important to making sure that, hey, sure, things might, escalate in price over time, but between, different contractors, you could oftentimes, in at least last couple of years, I can see that range being over, double.
Yeah.
What the other person's charging.
A lot of times too, they, contractors, look, I get it. There's some really good ones. There's some really bad ones. There's a bunch in between.
Sometimes even the really good ones end up being really bad.
You're true. Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong there, but with contractors, it's like, you're not going to get the same performance on your first, trip around the house remodel with a contractor as you will on your fourth or fifth. So just know you're going to get the best you're going to get on your first project. And if it didn't go well, it's probably not going to go well on the rest of them.
The advice I give and also use is when I'm working with a contractor, in my contract, it has timelines of completions. Yeah. So not necessarily like when this is going to be done, but when you get to this level, when the cabinets are up in the kitchen, that's when you'll get this next percentage of pay. Depending on what the project is and how big it is. I always like to talk through them with the timelines. When can we expect, how's the project going to go? Oh, we're going to get the windows done, we're going to get the roof done, get this done, get this done. And then I'll break down a payment plan as we're getting done. But I always want to make sure that there's at least 20% held back to the job is 100% complete, because that checklist items in the end is the list of hell and the things that never get done, but are the most important, timely things that have to get done so you can list the property or put it up for rent. So my advice is have a contract. I paid and I put up 10% at least up front, but I usually have done some vetting of some sort. Right. But Google the person. If you have somebody that's a realtor, have them look them up on the Forewarn app. And this is all in light of just seeing the news this week that there was a guy named Chris Polly that was on the local news that has potentially stolen up $2 million as a local builder from investors and people wanting their home, which is just absolutely crazy. And there's somebody in the office just saying that they had business with them. And I was working out with somebody this morning he was trying to get loans for me. Wow. And so double check and don't be afraid if you're working with somebody to post it in your local REIA group page. Hey, I'm going to work with this contractor. Does anybody have any feedback?
Yep.
It's not about
DM me.
Yeah.
Because then, slander, libel, all that.
Yeah.
All
So
that pesky stuff.
next question. It's your podcast.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be real estate related. You can interview anyone in the world today that's alive. Who is it that you're going to interview? And you can get one question answered that is just that question that opens up the world to you. What are you going to ask?
It's absolutely going to be Warren Buffett. And how can he stay so patient?
And when is he going to sell his house in Dundee?
Oh, yeah.
That thing's going to become a museum.
That is going to be a museum.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's going to be, He is one of those investors that, you see a lot of traders, and I would use the word traders. I don't consider them to be investing if they're only in a position for, a year or two. That Buffett has the tenacity to be willing to hold some of these companies for 30, 40 years.
Yep.
And I think that playbook can absolutely be taken into play in the real estate game. Because for most of the homes that I have bought in Dundee, I would absolutely say it's the appreciation that made me the most money. The operational, all the ongoing stuff, it just kind of kept everything afloat. But I never anticipate that, the cash flow coming in from the rental operations to be the main primary driver. The appreciation has been phenomenal over especially the last 5 years, I think, in Dundee. And that's only just 5 years. Buffett has done it for, 40 or 50 with some of his investments. So if we can, take that playbook and just being that patient and to be able to have that long term of a horizon, I think that's something quite special, honestly.
Yeah, good answer.
Well said.
And if you're listening to Warren, we were okay with having him on the podcast. So
I think he's retiring, Warren, and he got plenty of time now for other bandwidth.
Warren, we will come to you. We will travel. We have some extension cords.
We did it for Brandon Turner.
If you need bodyguards, we will make some seats available at the end of our table.
Yeah, Dennis is great at setting up mobile stations.
Yep. All right. So let's make this happen, people. All right. Okay. We have another question for you here. Eulogy time, your funeral. Who do you think is going to do the long walk up to the front and tell the world about what you did in your life?
Oh, man, that's a tough one.
Heavily redacted.
Oh, it's so going to be heavily redacted.
What legacy you hope you're going to leave behind?
I built well, that I cared. It's not just a business purely with a profit focus. I do see myself more of a builder operator than just I'm just doing this as parking a bunch of money in a certain asset class. Mm-hmm. That to leave a legacy that, you can still build well and still be in the business of real estate. It's not all, the negative talk of, these guys are only in it for the profit incentive. We can still, build quality, help a neighborhood develop and still have a decent business model at the same time.
Yep.
You pass away today. Who acquires your wealth?
Nobody right now. Yeah,
that's really interesting.
Yeah, I hope the AI stuff is going to start really ramping up so I can have my AI, automate all the maintenance and the management side of things. That'll be good.
Is it go to a charity?
We'll see at this point.
Be an interesting conversation. And we don't have too many people that aren't married with kids that are on. So
I like to say I'm married to my business.
Yeah, I mean we all are kind of. If you think about the person that had the biggest impact on your life, dead or alive, if you could speak to him directly right now and give him a shout out for being an amazing mentor, who is it and what would you say to him right now?
It would be Amber Lee, the gal that gave me the job, that she actually showed me that even though in one of those rare, odd, unreal kind of a situation that you could still find opportunities and experience life in a very unconventional kind of a way. Mm. So that relationship with her really set the tone for me that, anything can be possible if you give it a shot. I always like to tell my dad, like, hey, if 99.9% chance if I stay on this path, whether it was staying in college or, hey, maybe I'm going to dodge this call with Amber because, maybe I'm going to get arrested and disappeared. Maybe I'm just going to flee. So 99.9% chance it's going to end badly in certain tracks. I would rather take the track that's going to give me a 99% chance of failure just for that slight under 1% improvement to just take that shot. And with her, it paid off well. And
you screamed at her and she said, you're hired.
Yeah.
You physically scream at her?
You start Monday for 6 cents an hour. Is basically what you worked for.
I was paid $1,000 a month for.
She acted like she's like, hey, nobody's ever talked to me like that before. I want you to work for me and you're going to start Monday. And he's like, okay, well, what's it pay? She's like, don't worry about the details. We'll take care of that. You just show up Monday. I'm really impressed.
Paid at that band apparently. So I was
the tallest midget.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you have a business partner or like somebody you work with, and they're just.
I feel like this is about me.
And then you have that blow up moment with them because you guys are butting heads.
Yeah.
And then finally you step up and you just lose your shit, and then all of a sudden you guys just shake hands, and you guys never fight again, and you guys are cool at that point going forward.
Wait, was this last Friday?
No.
Oh
no.
Ted was a little upset with me last Friday.
He's such a drama queen.
All right. So we have one last question. The big one.
Okay.
What's next for you? How can our listeners support you? You got socials out there? I know you're kind of a mysterious dude.
You have LinkedIn?
I don't really do socials.
No followers, please.
No followers. Yeah. I like I said, I think I run a fairly boring business, and I'm a fairly boring person.
But you're on LinkedIn.
I am on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's.
And I do have a website.
And bigger pockets.
And bigger pockets, yeah.
Yeah, I do have bigger pockets. Not that I have logged in quite some time. But I am on.
But you probably will this week now.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. But I do have my website. It's mintomaha.com. So you can see some of the work that we have done on the website. And also
mintomaha.com.
Mint
M-I-N-T.
Like
Omaha. Like
a
a breath
herb.
mint.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
But yeah, it would be nice to make some connections with other folks in town in the business, and just diversify my views on doing. Class A is not the end all. I know that for sure. So it's nice to see how we make other asset classes work.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because this whole time I've been feeling very inferior to you with you coming in stumping for Class A so hard. Class C bros over here.
I feel the same way about not being able to do Class C, because it's just not in my personality to be able to handle that. But I'm like, good God, like how much money I'm leaving on the table by just walking away from so many of those kind of deals.
Yep.
I have to tell you, my properties might be in C neighborhoods, but I have the A properties, and I did have.
Ted has some pretty pigs out there.
I did actually go to your website and looked at them. You got some. They are definitely pretty and big.
Let me ask a question just before we wrap up here.
You're not allowed to.
Anyway, I'm still gonna ask it regardless.
Okay.
This question is usually left for when you're on your deathbed.
Oh my God.
But do you have any regrets?
Yes.
I would love to know, what is your biggest regret right now?
It involves a Bitcoin wallet in the Austin landfill.
Please tell that story. I really want to hear that.
Do we have time for this?
I think like if it is, you could condense that story into like 3 minutes, and I think you can.
Yeah, I can do that. So when I was working on Second Life, I actually do virtual currency exchange, and that was something I did like starting in 2005, 2006. So this is well before any crypto or anything like that. And
you're doing some mining, and then you lost your hard drive somewhere, right?
No,
dude, listen.
I was trading virtual currencies, and I was actually a big player because I had my own exchange. And these guys, they're like, oh, there's this new thing. It's not based on Second Life. It's called Bitcoin. Do you want to check it out and maybe develop an exchange or something for it? And they just gave me a wallet with $100 of Bitcoin, and I think it was trading at like 6 cents or something. So I got like 1,500, 1,600 Bitcoins.
Then let's do the
Still
math.
to this day?
What's the math on that?
Yeah, so it was 1,633 Bitcoin is how much you have in that cold wallet. And where is it right now? That cold wallet that you got that $100 of Bitcoin. Where is it?
It's in Austin, in a landfill.
Right.
We're organizing a REIA Radio field trip. Yeah,
and
this is when you were out of the room.
When you were in the loo, bro. You were in the loo.
I was a currency trader, and they were like, hey, let's do some research and kind of do some due diligence. So we'll give you $100 of Bitcoin for you to play around with it. And they just gave me this wallet. And I was like, I don't want to deal with this. It's the only thing I could use Bitcoins for back then was like
buying
weed on whatever Pirate Bay or whatever.
Or buying a pizza, obviously, because remember the guy bought a pizza?
Oh, I don't think they even had that at that point. It was like all the illicit stuff. And I was just like, I run a legitimate business.
You're like, I don't want any of this.
I don't want any of this stuff. This is not something I understand. So I was like, I totally forgot about it. And the computer, it was just an old computer. I didn't care. I just threw in the trash when I moved out. And yep, it's just a wallet somewhere in
That
a
is
landfill
worth
somewhere.
Oh, all right. Then what's the math?
It's worth $158,333.33.
$158 million is laying in a landfill. Listeners, in Austin, Texas, we are organizing a REIA Radio road trip caravan.
And that's at the value. That's Bitcoin valued at 95,000.
About it.
I'm feeling it for you, bro.
I don't feel a thing for it.
Yeah, you got something's missing up
he's
there.
got that. He's already made that like times 10. So
I am feeling the pain. This is very painful.
It was because I think when I dropped that wallet, it was still like $100. So in my mind, it never like all these numbers.
Yeah.
It's just arbitrary.
It's still $100 to you.
Yeah,
Right?
it's still $100. I just you know, of $100, I can't really do anything with it.
Right.
And that's why in my mind, I never thought this money is meant for me. And to this day, I honestly just don't feel a thing. There's a disconnect.
It wasn't meant for you, bro. It was meant for the rats in the landfill. That's why it's there.
Yeah.
So there you go.
the question is
rich rats.
if it was actually found
I
after all
don't
these
know if anyone can even get to it, though.
like if it was dug up, I mean, it's probably been rained over multiple times and water and.
Some of those things are pretty tough.
And I'm not a crypto guy. I remember, like, you have to have like a string of words.
Yeah,
to
like 16
form
digit
a password. Like, you have to have that to get access to it. So, like, I have no idea what that chain is anymore. So, and that's why, like I said, in my mind is.
But you have
just not
10
there.
shots at $158
Well,
million
good luck
if you got it.
if someone can come up with quantum computing and figure it out for us, you know.
Oh, what a deal that is!
Yeah, you missed a doozy of a story.
Yeah. I have some interesting stuff.
Wow, Dave. I mean, that was a very powerful ending, and
Mic drop.
I appreciate you coming on the podcast. If you know anybody that's got great stories like yours, please refer them back to us because this has been fun. But it was great to meet you at the Caffeine Crap Rates, and and I'm glad you took a chance on us to come on because I know you haven't listened to the podcast yet. So hopefully we can recruit you to be a listener going forward. But if you're listening to us for the first time or the 284th time, please give us a 5-star review in whatever format you listen to. And if you have an Apple iPhone, mark all episodes as read. Remember that conversation?
Oh yeah, no, that's a game changer, man.
We found out all of a sudden our views went up thousands, and it was like,
Oh, wow.
we had people like mark all as read, and then it just gives you automatic like 300 downloads.
Okay.
Yes, please do that.
Yeah,
We're trying to get there.
Yeah, the goal for this 2026 is 100,000 downloads.
Is it?
That's my goal. That's
Okay.
that's what I put on my vision board.
All right.
So with that,
Owen
Dashner, we see us out.
let's put a bow on this. On behalf of REIA Radio, Aiden Bear, Dennis Bertrand, and Ted Kaasch, I'm Owen Dashner, and listening to David, the Junk Bond King of Second Life, Chan. Sign off. People are more accepting of that type of finished square radio edit.
And he's not drinking.
Radio edit. Good Lord. I don't know what just happened there.